All right, let's dive in. We've got a great listener question to tackle today. And it's one I think we've all pondered at some point.
Yeah,
How does aging, affect our brains?
absolutely.
But not just like the surface level stuff, but like what's going on at the cellular level.
Mm.
And our listener actually sent in this amazing Nature article about a study funded by the NIH. So lucky for us, we have our expert here to help us unpack this research.
Yeah, happy to be here.
It's about aging in mice brains, right?
Yeah. And it's actually fascinating because it's such a broad, detailed look at what's happening. They analyzed over 1.2 million individual brain cells.
Wow, that's a lot.
I know, it's about 1% of a mouse's brain.
Wow.
But it covered young mice and old mice, and it covered a lot of different brain regions, so it gives us a really wide view.
Okay, so they weren't just looking at like one tiny little area. They were really trying to get...
The big picture.
Yeah, the big picture. Exactly. But how do you even study aging in a single cell? That seems like really hard.
They use really advanced genetic tools that are kind of like taking a snapshot of each cell's activity. So which genes are on, which genes are off. And then they compare that between the young mice and the old mice.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And that level of detail is why this study is so groundbreaking.
So it's not just like our brains slow down as we age. It's more that like different cells within the brain are experiencing aging differently.
Exactly. It's way more nuanced than just like an overall slowdown.
I see.
So, for example, they found decreased activity in the genes that relate to neuronal circuits.
Okay.
And these circuits are essential for communication between the neurons themselves and even the supportive glial cells. And of course, this impacts things like learning and memory.
Well, yeah, because if the communication isn't happening, that's
Yeah.
pretty crucial for brain function. And it sounds like that could have some serious consequences.
It definitely raises some concerns. And to make it even more complex, they also saw increased activity in genes that were related to immunity and inflammation in some of the cells.
So we've got some cells with decreased activity, some with increased activity. It's like all over the place.
Right.
So how does this variation across the cells actually like play out in different parts of the brain? Did anything stand out in the research?
Well, one of the most interesting findings was that aging seems to actually hinder the development of brand new neurons in several brain regions. And these newborn neurons are super important for specific types of learning and memory. And they even play a role in smell recognition in mice.
Huh. So if new neuron development is slowing down as we age, could that be like a reason for age-related cognitive decline or memory problems?
It's definitely a very real possibility. And this adds even more evidence to that theory. Of course, we need more research in humans to really confirm this link.
Because as interesting as mice brains are,
Yeah,
they're not exactly human.
exactly.
But it's still like incredibly valuable to see how these cellular changes might relate to, the cognitive changes that we all experience as we age. Did this study uncover any other like big surprises along the way?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Maybe the most surprising finding was that the cells that surround the third ventricle in the hypothalamus showed like the most dramatic age-related changes.
Okay.
And the hypothalamus is this super crucial area that is responsible for regulating all kinds of vital functions like temperature, sleep, hunger, thirst, you name it.
Oh. So given that the hypothalamus regulates so many vital functions, what kind of implications could these age-related changes have for all of that?
That's the million-dollar question. So what they found in these hypothalamic cells was increased activity in immunity genes, but conversely, decreased activity in neuronal circuit genes.
So it's that same pattern of increased inflammation and decreased communication, but this time it's happening in like the control center for a bunch of vital functions.
Precisely. And what's even more interesting is that this finding aligns with existing research on the link between aging and metabolism. So, there's been a ton of focus on how calorie restriction can extend lifespan in various animals. And it turns out that these same neurons in the hypothalamus that are showing these changes with age are also involved in producing hormones that control feeding and energy balance.
Oh, wow. So we're starting to see some connections here. If these hypothalamic neurons are changing with age and they're also involved in these metabolic processes, could that potentially be a target for treatment for age-related brain disorders?
That is a very real possibility and one that definitely deserves further exploration. It's key to remember that, this was a mouse study.
Right.
But the findings have potential implications for understanding human brain aging and related diseases like Alzheimer's.
It is amazing how much we're learning about how the brain works. I'm really excited to see where this research leads us.
Me too. I think we're on the verge of some really incredible discoveries. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves.
Right. Let's pause here and come back and discuss what all of this means for us in like a practical sense. Stay tuned. Okay, so we're back, and we're really diving deep into this brain aging research. Before the break, we were talking about how different brain cells experience aging in their own unique ways, especially those hypothalamic cells showing some really interesting changes.
Yeah, definitely. And those hypothalamic findings, they raise some pretty important questions about the role of inflammation in the aging process in general.
Yeah, inflammation was definitely a recurring theme in the research. Can you remind us about the connection between inflammation and those hypothalamic cells? What was going on there?
Sure. So the study found increased activity in genes that are related to microglia in those aging hypothalamic cells. And microglia, they're like the brain's primary immune cells. They're constantly patrolling, looking for trouble, like damaged cells, infections, even just debris that needs cleaning up.
So if microglia activity is going up in the hypothalamus as we age, does that mean that inflammation is playing a bigger role in that region?
Yeah, that's exactly what it suggests. And, it's important to remember that inflammation, it's a natural process. It's a necessary part of the immune response. But when it's chronic or excessive, that's when it can be damaging to tissues. And that includes the brain.
So are we saying that inflammation in the hypothalamus could actually be driving some of the age-related changes we see in brain function and potentially even lifespan?
It's a strong possibility, and it actually aligns with a lot of other research. That points to chronic inflammation as a major player in tons of age-related diseases, not just in the brain, but throughout the whole body.
This connection between inflammation and aging, it's really fascinating. What kind of implications does this have for potential treatment or prevention strategies for age-related brain disorders?
Well, it opens up a lot of really exciting possibilities. If we can really zero in on the mechanisms that are driving this inflammation in the hypothalamus, we might be able to develop some very targeted interventions to reduce it and potentially, slow down or even reverse certain aspects of brain aging.
So instead of just accepting that cognitive decline is like an inevitable part of getting older, we might be able to do something about it, proactively intervene and protect brain health.
Exactly. And this research really underscores how important lifestyle choices are. We already know that things like exercise, a healthy diet, and managing stress, they can all have a positive impact on brain health. But now with this deeper understanding of how different cell types age, particularly those that are more susceptible to inflammation, we can start to fine-tune those lifestyle interventions to make them even more effective.
That's great news for anyone who wants to keep their brain sharp as they age. So for our listener who's really interested in maintaining their cognitive function, what are some practical takeaways from this research?
Well, the first thing I'd say is don't underestimate the power of a healthy lifestyle. Regular physical activity, eating a balanced diet, it should be rich in antioxidants, omega-3 fatty acids, and finding ways to manage stress. Those are all super crucial for supporting brain health. It's all about creating the right environment for your brain to thrive.
So it's about being proactive.
Yeah.
And giving our brains the best possible chance to age gracefully.
Right. Absolutely. And don't forget about challenging your brain, Engage in mentally stimulating activities like learning a new skill, playing brain games, or even just having some really engaging conversations. Remember those newborn neurons? They love novelty and challenges.
Keep learning, keep exploring, keep that brain active and engaged. What else can our listener do to stay ahead of the curve?
Just stay curious, stay informed. Neuroscience is a field that's constantly evolving, and there are new discoveries happening all the time. Keep up with the latest research. Be open to new ideas and approaches. Knowledge is power, especially when we're talking about something as complex and important as our brains.
I couldn't agree more. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. From the tiny details of brain aging at the cellular level to the potential for future therapies, and the really empowering message that we can have a say in how our brains age. Before we wrap up, what's one final thought you want to leave our listener with?
I think the biggest takeaway here is this. Don't look at aging as just this passive process of decline. Embrace the possibilities that come with a deeper understanding of how your brain changes over time. By taking steps to support your brain health, staying informed, and by staying curious and engaged, you can age gracefully and maintain a really vibrant mind well into your later years.
I love that. That's a message of hope and empowerment. We can all take that to heart.
And to our listener, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible exploration of brain aging. We hope you've gained a whole new appreciation for the complexity and the resilience of your amazing brain. Keep those brain cells firing, stay curious, and never stop learning. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to our deep dive exploring brain aging. We've uncovered some really groundbreaking research about how aging affects different brain cells, especially those in the hypothalamus.
And we've discussed the potential implications of these findings, from the possibility of new therapies to the impact of our lifestyle choices on maintaining a healthy brain as we age.
It's been such an eye-opening conversation. But, for our listener who's already really interested in brain health and fascinated by all these findings, what's the biggest takeaway for them? Like, what's the so what here?
Well, I think one of the most significant takeaways is that this research really challenges that old idea of aging being just a straight decline. It's
Right.
not a one-size-fits-all process. Instead, we're seeing a much more complex picture where different types of cells are aging in their own distinct ways.
So instead of just accepting that our brains are going to slow down inevitably as we get older, this research is kind of hinting that there might be things we can do to influence how our brains actually age.
Exactly. And this understanding opens up some exciting possibilities for developing really targeted interventions to protect or even rejuvenate specific cell types that are particularly vulnerable to those age-related changes.
That's a total game changer. It's
Yeah.
like shifting the focus from just managing decline to actively promoting brain health throughout our whole lifespan.
Exactly. It also highlights just how important ongoing research is, to dig deeper into these cellular mechanisms and then figure out how to translate those findings into effective therapies for humans.
Okay, so for someone who's already committed to a healthy lifestyle
Yeah.
and is actively engaging in mentally stimulating activities, is there anything else they can do to use this new knowledge and kind of stay ahead of the curve when it comes to brain health?
Absolutely. I think one of the most powerful things anyone can do is just stay informed about the latest advancements in neuroscience research, because new discoveries are constantly emerging, and staying up to date can help people make informed decisions about their health and lifestyle.
Knowledge is power,
Right.
especially in a field that's evolving as quickly as neuroscience.
Mm.
What other advice would you give to our listeners who want to optimize their brain health as they age?
I'd say embrace your curiosity and never lose that love of learning. Engage in things that challenge your brain, explore new interests, and stay connected with other people. These social and intellectual engagements are super crucial for maintaining cognitive function and overall well-being.
Such great advice. So it seems like the key to healthy brain aging is a combination of those proactive lifestyle choices, staying informed about the research, and cultivating that curious and engaged mind.
I completely agree. It's really about embracing the aging process and recognizing that we might have more control over our brain health than we thought.
Where this deep dive has been absolutely fascinating. We've covered so much, from the intricacies of how cells age to the potential for future treatments and the empowering idea that we can play a role in shaping how our brains age. Before we wrap up, is there one final thought you'd like to leave with our listener?
Sure, don't think of aging as simply a downhill slide. Embrace the possibilities that come with a deeper understanding of your brain and its amazing ability to adapt and be resilient. By taking proactive steps to support your brain health, staying curious, and engaging with life, you can really empower yourself to age gracefully and have a vibrant mind for years to come.
That's a perfect note to end on. And to our listener, thank you so much for joining us on this journey exploring brain aging. We hope you've gained a new appreciation for the complexities and potential of that amazing brain of yours. Keep those brain cells firing, stay curious, and never stop learning. We'll see you next time.